Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Wannabes podcast. I'm Morgan, and that's Luke. How's it going tonight, Luke?
Pretty solid.
Heck yeah.
We've been you've been making some moves, and things have been newly invigorated in what we're doing, and it's fucking sweet. Like good things are happening.
I've certainly been trying.
Appreciate you very much, by the way. I don't say that enough, but thank you.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. So, everybody, if you've been watching our socials closely, and if you've been watching over on our YouTube, because this is what Luke is getting at, I have, and we have, as the show, been getting our show officially up on YouTube. So if you ever missed the live show, like right now, if you're not here right now, we wish you were. But you're able to go ahead and watch it over on YouTube. So some exciting info we have going is every Tuesday in the morning, like between 10 and 11, I'll figure out the official time come next Tuesday. We are planning to have, and not planning, we will have this episode up on Tuesday. So every time we go live on a Wednesday, then following Tuesday, it'll be up on YouTube for you to watch. But that's not the only place. Luke, do you want to tell them where else you can watch it?
You can also find our shows and our reviews on YouTube. And honestly, the one that I'm really fucking stoked about, no offense to YouTube, is Spotify. You can now take us on the go, because who doesn't want to hear these voices when you're on the go?
In your car. Surround sound in your vehicle.
Silky smooth is what we got.
And I love that we I just got in our Streamlabs saying coming soon. Podcast versions will be available on Spotify. Stay tuned. They are available. I just forgot to update that before going live.
But this is big news. This is something that we've been trying to do for quite a while.
Yes.
It's finally happening. Morgan is busting her butt to get it done. And if you have been paying attention to our socials, which you should be doing anyway, if you're not, do it immediately. But if you haven't been paying attention, as Morgan said, notifications will be going out. We're going to have a schedule. And you'll be able to see these shows whenever you want.
Yeah, it'll be super exciting. And also on Saturdays, every Saturday, all of our previous episodes that have never been seen before, aside from live on the show, we are slowly trickling them out on every Saturday as the Wannabes archive, because those are our archives. That is our archive of films we have seen and we have reviewed for your lovely faces. So
the thing that obviously Anthony Dreaded isn't with us right now. And we are sad about that. He's not feeling very well, wishing him a speedy recovery. But it is also fitting that you and I are here right now doing these announcements, because we came up with this 4 years ago during COVID because we had nothing better to do. And we've been doing this for 4 years. Yeah. So I don't know what the official date is.
So we launched everything in early January
of 2020.
2020,
right?
Yeah.
Right around the time. It
might have been December of 2019, and then we started making our socials and our YouTube and everything and getting ready, and then we started filming and releasing stuff in 2020. And
it's come a long way.
Yeah, our first ever episode was in my room when this couch wasn't here. We had 2 chairs, a whole weird lighting setup, and I had a little table with a bunch of Lord of the Rings shit on there because we reviewed Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers for our first ever review.
That was a great time. We had a team in there too. Remember that shit?
We did. We had Alex and Dreaded there, both helping us out.
Dreaded
started as our tech guy.
And I don't know. We got Alex's number somewhere. We could probably get him back for something.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I actually might have to do that. That'd be kind of fun. But yeah, the first one was Lord of the Rings. The second or third one was the Dracula show, which was I really enjoyed that episode. That was fun.
That was actually for a little while, I think.
That was a good one, and that was a totally different format, because we started in that room, and then we moved out into your dining room.
Yeah, moved the table every weekend. It was completely destroying my house.
And actually had some props in there and shit, and it was good. It has been fun since you've been doing this to go and check out the channel, which you should do. Wanna's Wanna-B's apostrophe S podcast on YouTube.
How would a on here, guys?
and seeing just all the stuff that we've already reviewed, because I forgot a lot of that shit. It's like, I don't know,
we have a couple. I have a couple films that Rob keeps lovely, constantly reminding me that we need to review.
Oh yeah,
That he has suggested years ago in the
yeah,
comments of YouTube. So
yeah.
maybe when it gets to the slow period of movie releases come early next year, we can do some suggestions from chat and YouTube and everywhere else. So
Is it pronounced Zoe Jack or Zojack? I don't want to. I don't know. But I'm doing great. I'm having a pretty solid day myself. Morgan, how
doing
are you
good.
doing?
I'm doing good. I'm really
Oh, fucking
happy.
solid.
I've literally been like so psyched for tonight because I'm like, finally, I have things up on YouTube. I have stuff. We have our Spotify officially going. I've been really excited to make that announcement with everybody today. So yeah, I'm doing fantastic. How are you, bud? Um,
Uh, like I said, I'm doing good. I'm excited that we're back here. We're doing this 4 years later. It's still going, and now we are expanding. It's huge. It's huge to think about. There's a lot of shit going on, man. There's a lot of stuff that we have going on. You're doing all the work on this. I'm trying to get a fucking movie made. Like it's man,
yeah,
things are happening.
I have the beginning of October my other show, my tech show coming back for
Yeah,
video
Techree's coming
games.
back.
Yeah, Tech Reese is returning, so it's super exciting. I'm getting back into my own personal streaming schedule, and it's gonna really suck when I find a job again because I don't know how I'm gonna fit everything in, but it's fine. Where are
Nah,
we from? So real quick for anybody who's listening on Spotify, if we ever say names or ask random questions, it's because we're reading the chat here on TikTok. Wow, on Twitch. So if you're being like, why are they saying weird things? That is why. But we are from Michigan. Thank you for asking.
Twitch.tv/Wannabes podcast, by the way.
Yes, good plug, good plug.
And if you're listening to us on Spotify, welcome. If you're watching us on YouTube, welcome. If you haven't watched our live shows, do it.
All
It's
right.
fun.
Well,
This is normally the time where we do like news and kind of talk about the industry. But really, the only thing that I have that I really want to talk about would be the Venom 3 trailer. And I'm not going to do that without Anthony. It just feels wrong. But I do have a lot to say. So tune in next week because we'll probably talk about that probably at length. As far as this is concerned, we already we're behind schedule as it is a little bit. So we decided that we're going to skip the news and just kind of get into the review. So, Morgan, you always do the box office and give us a little bit of details on the production. So let's get into it. This is our review of Beetlejuice Beetlejuice.
yeah, so for our information of Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. So obviously we have, first things first, a lot of OGs reprising their roles, which is wonderful to see. We have Michael Keaton back, Winona Ryder's back, Catherine O'Hara. We also have we have this lovely special presence of Jenna Ortega, because who doesn't love Jenna? If you don't, you're crazy. I like Jenna a lot.
I like Jenna too. I don't know if I like Jenna so much to where I need her to be in everything.
But that's fair. That is fair. So, getting into our box office, though. First things first, the runtime for this is 104 minutes. The budget is 99 to 100 million.
Kind of low.
Yeah, all things considered, yeah. I'd love to compare because I know the original was done. There was a lot of practical effects done in the OG Beetlejuice film, so I wonder how much of that they still kept. I didn't get a chance to really look into that, sadly. But for our box office numbers, in the United States and Canada, Beetlejuice Beetlejuice was released alongside The Front Room and was projected to gross 100 to 110 million from 4,200 theaters in its opening weekend. The film made 42 million on its first day, including 13 million from Thursday night previews. The film went on to debut 111 million, registering the second biggest box office opening of September, behind the film It. It is the second biggest for Burton's career, his top being Alice in Wonderland, and the third biggest opening of the year, which is behind Deadpool, Wolverine, and then Inside Out 2. So, with that being said, opening weekend gross has surpassed the entire 74 million run from the original film, which is unadjusted for inflation, by the way. In its second weekend, the film grossed 51 million. And as of September 17th, Beetlejuice Beetlejuice has grossed a total of 195.5 million in the United States and Canada, and 76.5 million in other territories, which gives it a worldwide box office opening total of $272 million. I eventually will be able to speak.
So I got a fun little nugget for you.
Yeah.
I've been trying just to find the budget for the original film, just to compare.
Hmm.
And nothing's coming up. Instead, what's coming up is that Tim Burton. Um, Originally, this film was slated to just be a streaming film, go straight to streaming. Tim Burton said no, and because he did that, they slashed the budget by $50 million. So this was supposed to be $50 million more in the budget. So just a fun little fact.
Interesting. That's really cool.
Yeah, and also weird that they made that decision. Yes, we do stream games. She does it more than I do. I'm semi-retired, but I'm trying to come out of retirement.
Look at that.
What are you streaming right now, real quick?
I stream a variety of games. So I stream, for Zodiac, who's asking, sorry, in chat. I stream Destiny 2. I have Medieval Dynasty I've been doing a run of right now. There's Helldivers I play, Sons of the Forest, Palia. The list goes on. I play a bunch of different games, but I've just recently gotten into cooking streams, and they've been doing really good for me cooking for people. I'll actually be live tomorrow cooking for people and teaching
Georgia
people.
Foodworthy?
Basically, yeah.
That's a reference just for us, and maybe Anthony if he's watching.
But yeah, I will be live teaching people how to make pulled pork in the Instant Pot tomorrow.
I might have to watch that. Yeah, so that's what she does. Back to the film.
Yeah. So I'm gonna put this out right now. I just want to get this out there in the forefront. I like this film. I had a fun time with it.
You've seen the dumb question, but you've seen the original.
Fuck yeah, bud.
I gotta ask.
Dan hasn't. Dan went in. Dan has seen clips of it. Dan laid on the couch and attempted to watch it and fell asleep.
Why is he like this?
He fell asleep before he even got to meet Beetlejuice.
Why is he like this, though? I don't understand. He's so fucking weird when it comes to stuff like this. You know? Like, I'm not even going to get into it. Anthony's not here. I'll keep the Godzilla and Dragon Ball references to a minimum.
So, thank you. I don't get them. But it was really interesting having the dynamic of having an OG. And I took my dad, because my dad and I watched Beetlejuice together. He showed me Beetlejuice growing up, and he really wanted to go see it. So we have two OGs, and then Dan, who's only seen clips of the OG. And Dan was, like, bored. Like, he didn't hate it, but he didn't love it.
This one?
Yeah. Which and to be fair, you do not, I want to say this now, you do not need to see the original to follow the storyline. However, it, I think, is more enjoyable if you know the original storyline.
I'm gonna mull that over. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I'm gonna mull that over.
Or maybe not, like, it's better, but I think certain little, like, things that are supposed to make you chuckle make more sense. You know, having a little bit of the backstory, I think, is helpful, but not necessary for this film.
Well, there's a nice little twist in there that they did with a reference that I'll get to when we get there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I did enjoy that kind of little swerve that they have in there. But it was nice to be able to go, oh yeah, I remember that. Oh yeah, that's from that, or that's why that character's here and shit. And yeah, it was nice. But as far as for me, as far as my overall enjoyability of the film itself, I definitely can't say that it hurt, because I don't think it did.
Yeah. No. So I guess nice. Where do you want to start? What is the stuff? What's eating at you to talk about first?
I think it's just, I'll start with the cast, because it was really nice to see Catherine O'Hara back. It was really nice to see Winona Ryder. Obviously, I need to stop doing that. Obviously, Michael Keaton's in this bad boy, and that's always phenomenal. But, like, I'm going to stick with Catherine O'Hara and Winona Ryder, because they gave their characters quite a bit to do in this film.
Yes.
And I think as far as story arcs and what they had these characters do, their stuff was the most enjoyable, because their stuff, including Jenna Ortega's, had a beginning, a middle, and an end, whereas everybody else, including Beetlejuice, has like story things going on that don't really work. Yeah, exactly. By the time the movie's over, the stuff that's happening with Beetlejuice kind of doesn't matter.
So like Beetlejuice's whole like ex-wife thing
It didn't
Very
need to be.
like it's interesting, it's intriguing, but it doesn't. It was more like I felt like an afterthought in this film because it wasn't the plot point that was up in the center. It was almost like this weird thing in the background, but you're kind of like, I don't need this. Why are you here?
Yeah, and he's obviously you would think by the movie being called Beetlejuice that like he's gonna be the focal point. He's not. He's not the focal point in the original either. But I think if there is something that I can say I didn't like about the film, it would be the fact that Beetlejuice isn't the focal point of this film.
I agree because like Beetlejuice is such a large focal point of the original. I think
He's
it like he is and he isn't, but like I feel like he was more front and center, if you will, because he
oh,
was giving like the weird, all the weirdness, right? That was supposed to be shocking to us. If we go into this film already knowing what he was like in the original, it I don't want to say it's not shocking, but it's not as like I don't know how like a good way to word. I'm losing the weight of how I wanted to
I'm gonna
word
put it. I'm gonna put it like this because I do agree with you that he's in the original more, but I don't think he's the focal point. But once he finally does show up in the original, like he's there. He doesn't really go anywhere. He's very much involved.
Yes.
Not so much in this one, and he shows up earlier in the film. But his appearances, instead of it being, "Hey, we're teasing him," and then he shows up and he's just in it, it's like, "Hey, here he is. Okay, now here he is."
You muted your mic.
Yeah, I muted myself. I'm sorry. So here he is, nothing, and then here he is.
You muted yourself
Did I do
again.
it again? That button is so sensitive. And then here he is again, nothing, and then here he is again. Right? It's like very much. Here's a chunk. Here's a chunk. Here's a chunk.
Yeah.
I need to not.
I will say though, I do like how this film, like you were saying, it has a beginning, it has a middle, it has an end. I do like how we almost see like, okay, this arc is done, now we're on to this arc and to this arc. It does seem a little more cookie cutter that way, but I think with how wild they could make this film and how weird it can get for people, especially if we have people who are in that don't know the original, it could get kind of like you could get a little lost in the sauce. So I'm happy them themselves didn't get lost in the sauce of
Well,
the
that's why I
afterlife.
say really the only ones that have a definitive beginning, middle, and end to me are Catherine O'Hara and Winona Ryder. That's Lydia Dietz and what the fuck is the mom's name? Can't think of it right now.
Delilah.
Is it Delilah?
Yeah, Delilah is Catherine O'Hara,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
then
With
Lydia.
Delilah and Lydia, they are the ones that effectively have like their own conflicts and their own beginning, middle, and ends. Um, Jenna Ortega has like a story going on, and it just kind of takes care of itself. And Beetlejuice also the same thing. And I mean, this has a really great cast. Did mention Willem Dafoe, whose character is really, really entertaining. I love his character,
It's
but his
so
character doesn't.
dumb.
I don't think his character particularly fits. It's like there's a lot of gags in this movie, and I mean that in the sense that there's. I shouldn't even call them gags. I should call them skits. There's a lot of skits in this movie to me. Like these characters show up, they do their bit, and then they go away. As
Yeah.
far as having an actual stake in the story or an influence on it or playing a part, not so much. And his character in particular, him and Monica Bellucci, who plays Beetlejuice's ex-wife in this. By the way, Monica Bellucci in any movie is fucking gorgeous. I don't care. I will fucking worship her feet.
I mean,
But like her introduction in this film is awesome. They play their characters very well, but like their characters don't really do much, and that includes Beetlejuice. You know,
yeah,
the
I
Dietzes are
agree
very
with
much
you.
the focal point.
I like we have this one, which we'll get into the twist more. We have this character Jeremy, and Jeremy does more than the rest of them.
Yeah, and that's kind of what bummed me out about the movie too, is that there is setup for, I guess, a villain and for a conflict, and I don't really get that. I get this other thing that I haven't heard about, which is fine. I like not knowing everything from trailers, but again, that doesn't really go anywhere either because they
There's
kind of wrap it up.
There's like three different plots here, right? And I'm gonna go in from least important order to highest, in my opinion.
Mhm.
The smallest plot point that we have that doesn't really matter, but it's there because why, for whatever reason, is Beetlejuice and his ex-wife.
Yeah.
Then we have the plot point of Jenna and this kid Jeremy.
Yeah.
But then the biggest overarching plot point is actually the relationship between Lydia, Delilah, and Astrid. And like
That's
working
it.
that they're working on their relationships as one an adoptive daughter, or the other, you know, being her daughter and like dealing with the grief of losing, because Astrid is Lydia's daughter, who is played by Jenna Ortega. Lydia, or Winona Ryder's character, she did marry. She had a husband. She, you know, had a child with him, and he went missing in the Amazon and died. And so there's a lot of battle of grief, and why can't you see him when you're the ghost expert? You can see him. Like, so there's a lot of like family turmoil. So I feel like the overarching like main plot point of Beetlejuice is actually family drama and repairing family.
Yeah. I didn't particularly like that because
Which is fair.
Astrid was just coming off as a little too bitchy. You know what I mean?
Tell you
It
what,
just
though.
I don't know if this is like a I feel like I have this gripe with younger characters in these movies now. I feel like I think I've said this before, where we can get to the same resolution or have the same conflicts, but your characters don't have to be dumb. And the things that Astrid bitches about in this movie, I'm just like, you're annoying. Like I'm supposed to be on your side, but I'm not, because the things that you are complaining about are things that you just seem like you just want to bitch for no reason. Like you shouldn't have a problem. You would.
It's like you're being a really annoying, cynical, like Gen Z or whatever. I don't want to even peg her as that.
I didn't want to say it. Like
I didn't want to say it either, but it almost feels like the stereotype Gen Z character.
Is that the stereotype for Gen Zers? Is that really what it is?
Well, so I feel like Gen Zers and like younger, like
you guys just bitch a lot,
or tried to play it, not necessarily bitch a lot, but they try to play like off like the more like sassy, defiant child. I feel like that's a common. I feel like that's
it's like victim. It's a victim complex.
Almost. Oh, and that's fair too. Yeah, I could totally see, like, that is definitely a trope that they are doing with like younger characters, not in just in this, but across a lot of media, and it's fucking annoying.
Yeah,
like I wasn't like that as a kid, and technically I'm in like the awkward transition of millennial and Gen Z.
I guess the whole point is to have the characters learn empathy, but you don't have to be just a piece of shit to get there.
Below me, is it Alpha?
Yeah, it's Gen Z. If you're a millennial, it's Gen Z.
I'm on that year where we.
Oh, you're an older Gen Z. You're older Gen Z.
I'm an old Gen Z to very young millennial. I'm literally the year it like is the transition year.
I think after you is like Gen Alpha or something.
Yeah, maybe this is the Alpha stereotype.
Maybe.
I don't know.
But also
that Alpha card, right?
I couldn't get a good gauge on how old Jenna Ortega's character is supposed to be either.
I would guesstimate like the 17, 18 range.
See, that's what I thought. That's what I thought, but I could have sworn there's a line in there where she says she's 22.
Let me find out. How old is Astrid?
I was trying to figure that out because when she first shows up on screen, she's in school and it looks like an all-girls school. So I thought she
apparently she's meant to be the same. Astrid is meant to be around the same age as Lydia back in the 1988 Beetlejuice.
So she's in high school.
So she should be around 16 off of that thought process. So 16 to 18, I would say.
All right. I couldn't get a good gauge on it, which was another reason why I was struggling with how this childish character was acting. Because are you actually supposed to be playing a child, or
since we're like talking though about like her behavior as a child or like this young adult, and even just Jenna Ortega in general.
Yeah,
I don't want to say it, but I feel like Tyler Burton's like, hey, you know what you did in Wednesday? I want you to tune it back into that.
Tim Burton.
Thank you.
You're good.
I don't like. I really like feel like Tim Burton was like, hey, you know what you did in Wednesday? Let's dial a little bit more into that, but let's make it a little bit more like socially comfortable.
But that's her whole bag now. And no offense to Jenna Ortega, maybe I just missed it because the first thing that I saw her in was Scream 5. Mm-hmm. And then I saw her in X, and I've seen her play these pretty adult roles. And then I have her go back and play a Wednesday and play this character, and now play these children. I'm looking at it I'm looking at it. I'm going, I don't really buy it because I know you're older than this.
Sure.
And just the way that you're playing this stuff, because okay, what I'm getting at is, when did she become the new goth icon? When did this happen?
Wednesday.
Because I haven't seen her in any roles where it was like she definitely nails that vibe. But okay, maybe it was
It
Wednesday
was
because
Wednesday.
now that seems to be all we want her to do.
Yep.
And she's very quippy, and I do like the with the new husband character. I love the shit that she says back. She's very good at delivering those types of lines. But that's I feel like that's not actually her character. You know what
Which
I'm
is fair.
saying?
No, that's fair. So I will say, like going off of all that, I do really like Jenna Ortega as
Yes.
Wednesday. Like I act,
I haven't watched it.
I genuinely, I think you'd like it,
I just haven't watched it.
maybe some of that would make sense for you and her as a character. I think she did a very good job playing Wednesday and going into a slightly younger character. But I think that's because Wednesday, though, is very closed off and socially awkward. She's very mature for her age. She's very high intellectual, right? So I think that kind of helps play into like why Jenna portrayed Wednesday so well, but she did it so well. People, that's all people want from her now. Like the thing at near the end of the film, just to jump ahead for a second, is like the whole dancing thing. I mean, it was like, oh, I feel like we're watching Wednesday, and she's doing her dancing thing that she did in Wednesday.
See, I know that is a thing. I have seen that
Mm-hmm.
scene. I took it as well. We had a dance music number in the first one,
Yeah,
so we have to have it in this one. And
which is
there was a
fair.
lot of that. There was a lot of that in this movie.
It made it less. Oh man, she's doing the Wednesday thing when Delilah started joining her and started doing the dance number too. But when it was just her off the rip, I was like, are they really trying to rip from Wednesday? So like there was little quips because like her dressing up for the Halloween thing with Jeremy as like the old scientist who like literally was giving herself radiation poisoning. That's a very Wednesday choice. Like it
Because that's supposed to be her whole persona now. Is
yes.
she's this dark,
dark
brooding
activist
thing? Yeah. Like it's just what she does. Which I think I haven't seen Wednesday. I guess it makes sense in here because Lydia still very much is that character, so I could see where
Yes.
that would rub off on the child.
Yes.
But I haven't seen Wednesday, so I don't know. But it fits in
You
here.
should watch it.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned the intellectual and how smart she actually is. That's why it makes it more annoying for me when she starts to bitch about stuff because she should be smarter. You know what I mean? Type of stuff.
There always comes down to the complex, and you're trying to do a child role, right? Or a young adult role is like you can have an extremely crazy book smart, crazy intelligent young adult that also still just they're young and they don't really realize or may not realize until they're older, oh, mom was doing this to protect me, or I was being unfair.
I'm
always not saying it's great, but
I haven't. I got to look and see who wrote this, but I look at it as an adult thinking this is how kids actually react to this.
Oh, that's fair.
That's what it feels like. It feels like an adult's version of what somebody in this position.
Oh man, my child did this to me when they were 12. That's what this is how 18-year-old does.
Right. My kid flipped out over something one time, so now all kids do it or some shit like that. We talk to the focus group, and this is what happens. I don't know. That's what it comes off to me because we mentioned it before with TV shows and stuff. You know, you don't have to. Your characters can get the exact same point without sacrificing them being stupid, for lack of a better way to put it.
Sure.
You know, and that's what she came off to me as in certain points. Overall, I did enjoy her character though. She is a lot of fun, especially with the dancing number. I enjoyed that scene. I enjoyed it the more it went on too. I did enjoy it. She does a very, very good job, but she's not really the focal point. Lydia is, and Winona Ryder.
Which I prefer that.
I do too. And I love Winona Ryder's performance in this because it's nice to see that she can just like fit back in there, and she's very much playing Lydia, and she's very much playing Lydia in 2024. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. I think Winona Ryder, first huge fan. I absolutely love her work. I think she did a fantastic job bringing this character back to life in the modern day. I really like that she is this. Do you know who Zach Baggins is? From Ghost Adventures. Okay, well he kind of plays like this. Not plays. He is this like very much kind of like more goth punk kind of vibe, and so like watching sometimes, especially early Ghost Hunters and Tenali, you're kind of like, oh, he's kind of like that like edgy goth boy in a way who's an adult now and who's grown up and is in his 40s, right? And it's like the same vibe with Lydia, and I honestly love it because it makes them stand out. Lydia never really fit into the world in the first one, but found her comfortable acceptance there. And then it's the same sort of situation now She's like, she still doesn't really fit in. She has this dark broodiness, this uncomfortableness, her awkwardness, her anxiety, everything else, on top of being able to see and communicate with ghosts constantly.
And she lost somebody,
And
right?
she's dealing with the loss of her husband.
And her whole
And
bag now is latching on to other people, good or
yeah,
bad.
yeah. And because of her, she hasn't, if you think about it, she hasn't really seen a lot of the world. So that's why Rory is able to easily exploit her without her realizing it.
Yeah.
And I think that is what, though, as annoying as Jenna Ortega's character can be to an extent, I think that's where like that blunt, like almost like young person, like younger, like we were talking earlier, Luke, like you're a very blunt and honest person. I know like Dan's sister, who's, you know, only about to be 20, she's very honest, very blunt sort of thing. Like, I think that is a nice thing where it's like to the parent, the child is like, you know, he's a fucking a-hole. Like, like, he's just using you. And I think that's maybe why they had her take that stance as the child, was just to try to like have the kid almost help teach the mom.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's done great, but
in moments, like, but I think
there are
that has
moments
a
where
lot
it's
to
good.
do. I think that has a lot to do with the Rory character in general. It's almost like, and this is why I say there's a lot of stuff in here that felt like it had to be in there because it was in the first one. We had an Otho. Otho's not in this, so we get a Rory. I would rather have had Otho. I'm just saying. At the end of the day, they feel like the same character to me, except Rory is more dumb. You know, Otho in the first one is very curious and very eccentric and is like down to just basically try whatever. He's very open-minded. Rory seems like he's like that, but he's full of shit. And because he's full of shit, at certain points he ends up being annoying. However, there's very good moments where it's like you need that character to do that thing. And I love that character is there in those moments. But throughout the whole movie, like, I could have done without the Rory character.
That's fair. That's very fair.
Yeah. But that's them. I mean, Catherine O'Hara's character, Delia. I love everything that she does.
I do too. She's just so over the top obnoxious, but also
well, because she's like over it too. Like that's it. She just does not give a fuck. She literally doesn't give a fuck. It's awesome.
I really like the approach they have her, because she's like, I've already been through this bullshit once. I was already harassed once. Fuck no. Fuck this guy. Yeah. Fuck everything about all of this. Like, Rory's fucking dumb. You're dumb if you want. Like, I love it. Like, she's just like, she's like the blunt grandma. Like, I tell my grandma. My grandma's very honest, to the point. Blunt, doesn't care. Passing through, taking names kind of lady. Like, I don't know. I love it how she's like, nah, child.
I do enjoy how they handled the Charles character.
Yeah. For Charles Dietz.
Hang on, let me get this real quick. Hang on. For those of you that don't know, in the original, Charles Dietz was played by.
I think it was Jeremy Jones or
Jeffrey Jones.
Jeffrey Jones.
Played by Jeffrey Jones, who is in some of my like favorite movies of all time, which sucks because he got in trouble for something very, 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 very gross and bad, and absolutely deserves all the bad things that happen to him from here until the end of time. But they handled his character in, I think, just like the most perfect, justifiable way. And this movie, it's PG-13, but holy shit, there's a lot of stuff in this movie where I went, that's allowed?
Honestly, this movie pushes the boundaries of PG-13, in my opinion.
It was so well.
And
I love that they took the shot at Disney too while doing it. Like, that was awesome. That was so cool. Yeah, I thought this, for some reason, I thought this was going to be a Disney thing, and then like Warner Brothers showed up, and I went, oh yeah, that's right, fucking sweet. I had a conversation.
We love Warner Brothers on this channel, though, but you know,
we love Warner Brothers when they get it right.
When they get it right,
which isn't too often, you know. It's their non-DC related stuff that they get right. It seems
of course.
But that whole sequence, there's a sequence with Charles in claymation. I mean, the thing that I enjoy about this movie the most, and I will circle back to performances, is the feel of it. It feels like it belongs in this universe. The practical effects are stunning. Oh my god. The fact that you told me the budget was as low as it is surprises me, because there's a lot of practical stuff in here. So it's nice to know that they made,
why it's so low is because of the practicality that they used.
I would have thought that would have made it more expensive, but like fucking kudos to them for knowing where to put the money. You know what I mean? Like it looks amazing, and I thought because watching the trailers, I did get a little apprehensive about seeing this because the first one I love it so much because it's got film grain.
Yes,
and that grain works so well with the subject matter. This is like it's clear. It's obviously filmed digitally. There's no grain. It's very clear. It's very polished.
They still found a good way to grunge it up, though.
Exactly. That's what I'm getting at. They did a very good job of making it feel like the world, making it feel dirty, making it feel like it belongs, and that made me feel good.
I mean, shit.
Because I was worried.
The scene with Danny DeVito and like the whole janitor scene, you know, like I was like, ew.
Well, that's what bums me out about Monica Bellucci's character is she seems fucking badass. She does some cool shit, and the effects when she does
I will say that
awesome.
I am not a fan of the soul sucking like lip pose she does.
That's it's Monica Bellucci. We gotta try and make it sexy, I guess.
Yeah.
Did it work? That's debatable. But the joke and everything that goes into it, perfect. Like it looks great. The effects are amazing.
A real soul sucker, if you know what I mean.
No shit, it's great. But it doesn't go anywhere, so that sucks.
Yeah, it's almost like that could have been its own movie if we wanted it to be, and we like
that should have been the movie.
We could have even had that technically even without Lydia or Astrid or Catherine.
So I have thought. I'll get back to that, but I agree with you, and like that is what I thought this movie was gonna be, considering Beetlejuice is listed twice on the fucking title.
Poor Bob.
Yeah. He almost made it.
Almost.
I didn't think I was gonna care so much about that character. I was like, oh, he's back. That's cool. And I was like, oh, fucking Bob. God damn it.
Yep.
I love his little army too. There's a lot of shit in there that I want more information on. Like, how the fuck did he get to be in charge of that spot, you know? Or how did he finally create his business? Because at the end of the first one, he's very much in line for essentially the end of time. So
yeah.
Eventually he got out of it. But they did give me a Beetlejuice backstory, which was cool.
I liked that. I'm not gonna lie though. Like I liked getting that. It's like, oh great, he was a scumbag in real life too. Expected.
Yeah.
But no, I did like. I like that we got to see a little deeper look at Beetlejuice because before we just know him as this crazy motherfucker, and now he's still that, but I don't know. I can't really explain why I liked getting it. I really liked it.
No, actually, that's a lie. Because I do like that they attempted to do it, but it still doesn't really give me the whole thing because it kind of cuts.
Yeah, well, because it feels like we're supposed to get the rest of it from the storyline with her, but then like it's done.
Did it feel as though there's a lot missing? Because it felt like this movie was edited to hell.
Yeah. And we also know Warner Brothers loves to put their thoughts into films and not let their directors do what they want with the movies. I want to know how much is cut out and what scenes we were missing that could explain what could have made the story better and make us feel like it wasn't just thrown in there for the sake of having something additional.
With the way it ends, I took it as there's potential for another one,
Agreed.
Which wouldn't surprise me. So maybe that's what we're banking on.
With how well this did.
How well it's doing?
Yeah.
With how well it's doing.
Doing fair. It's still in the theaters.
Yeah, it's probably going to be there for a minute. Obviously, I'm sorry, but Deadpool and Wolverine is king. Like, I'm sorry. It is what it is. But this has a really good shot at taking second.
I did end up seeing this, though, in Screen X.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, it's not like the best film to see in Screen X, but it was really cool when you get like all the obviously not every scene is in the Screen X with the side screens, but there were some really cool shots like in the afterlife, with like crazy shit that they were doing effect wise, and even just the really long intro of the city of the town. I mean, It looked really nice. It was kind of cool.
The afterlife, man, they killed it with bringing the afterlife back because it's very much the first one feels like
fucking soul.
We're taking a chance on this. We don't know what we got here. We're taking a chance. Tim, here's what you can do with your ideas and show us what you got. This one absolutely feels like we know what you're bringing to the table. Go do it.
For sure.
And it's awesome. The afterlife looks amazing. The fucking Soul Train was awesome and hilarious. I really enjoyed the colors. Man, they've got the German expressionism again. Like it was really cool to look at. So top marks for this film for production value for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's where this film shines. You know,
How'd you
outside
feel
of
about? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, just outside of like our OG cast returning and how well they did. I think like
Yeah.
this film shines in just like how it looks, how they've put together the practical and not practical effects. I
Yeah.
I think that's this. If anybody's going to really think about this movie, it is not a difficult script. It is not a crazy. It's not. I don't want to say it's not crazy. It's original, but it's also there's beats of it that are not original, right? And I think that's going into this. It shines with how it looks.
I think this is a good movie to study as a filmmaker.
Yeah,
With moods and lighting and how you want your sets to go and how set pieces play into the story, which we'll get into in a second, and like with the costumes and how they inform the characters and all that shit. I think this is a very good film to take a look at and sit down and study. I mean, just that opening with the actual city that turns into the model and that transition, like that opening was very good.
yes.
But how do you feel about Michael Keaton and his return as Beetlejuice?
I felt like there was. It's almost interesting because I feel like there was more energy in the original, which makes sense. He was a lot younger, a little more spry.
Just a little.
Just a little, just a little. But I still think he brought it pretty well. I enjoyed my time with Michael Keaton. I wanted more of him though, and that's something we've been saying. Like for it being a Beetlejuice movie, I wish there was more Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
But off of what we got, I like what he brought to the table. He was still super expressive, like we always see and we know Beetlejuice being. But it's kind of funny, like how he has aged. The character seemingly has also aged in a way with like some of like the things he's like, yeah, I'll help you out. He still does a twist and a little spin and a little swindle to make it work out better for his favor to get something out of it. But I think they have done an interesting way of almost aging and maturing this character that Michael's playing.
Yeah. I agree with you. I wanted to see more. I would have liked to see more of how powerful is he really?
Yeah,
Like
that was
what?
something Dan and I talked about after. Dan's like, why does it matter? Like, if he can do all that shit, why would he was like, if he can do all that shit, why would he want to come back to life?
I genuinely, I want to see what he can do. I still feel as though I haven't. There was a pretty good showing of his abilities in the first one. I don't
Yeah.
think there was as much in this one because he's more of a side character than he was in the original. In
Yeah.
the original, he's very much the bad guy. In this one, he's just like a side character.
Yep, I 100% agree with you.
So I would have liked to see more of that. I really would like to get it. Really would enjoy getting an idea of just how powerful he is, and well, with him being involved more in what's going on, then I would have gotten more of a performance. I like the performance, but again, I just didn't get enough of it. His
Agreed.
jokes and the way he delivers them, amazing. It's very much Beetlejuice, just not as much as I wanted. Yeah.
No, I 100% agree with you.
Not that that's a problem because I enjoyed getting as much as I did of Lydia. I enjoyed getting as much as I did as Astrid. I enjoyed getting as much as I did of Delilah. I enjoyed getting as much as I did of Chuck. Like it was it was cool.
I absolutely love, like, my favorite character of this is definitely Lydia and Winona's character. Like, Lydia fucking shines in this film.
I agree. But it's a bummer that there's like 4 different stories kind of going on.
Yeah.
You've got Beetlejuice's, you've got Astrid's with her thing that I'll leave alone because I mean just watch the movie for that one. There's what Delia's going through, and then who did I miss? Lydia?
Lydia.
I think I missed Lydia. And then there's Lydia's stuff going on.
And like,
and
what's interesting, Lydia's almost like broken into 2. It's like her shit with like, or almost 3, like personally with like her seeing ghosts and like her husband and her, and then there's the storyline with her daughter, and then there's this stupid storyline with Rory.
Yeah, and there's a setup of you've lost yourself, you need to rediscover yourself, and then you'll be free essentially. And that happens. I just don't think it's in a very enjoyable particularly enjoyable way. I think we could have done a better job with that. But in order to do that, you also need to kind of cut the fat a little bit, and there can't be as many stories going on. It would have been nice. It would have been nice to have Beetlejuice more or less be the guy that he was in the original, in the sense of threat. If it would have all came back to this big plot by Beetlejuice to get away from the X by using the Deets, like that is the story that I thought I was going to get.
That's totally
Instead,
fair.
I got a Deet-centric story, which is fine, but Beetlejuice has like a subplot off in the wings that doesn't really amount to much. And then he's kind of there to get involved with the Deets to kind of help them out.
Yeah, but because he's like, yeah, I'll help you out, but you got to marry me.
And he doesn't even really help them out all that much. They kind of figure it out on their own. It's not until the last second that Beetlejuice shows.
He helps with the whole thing with like Jeremy.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But as far as like he, without spoiling too much, he gets a character in, and then he kind of disappears. And when it's time for the character to get out, he shows up again.
Yeah. But I think that's some moments like so. I think that is because of the run-in they have with another character that's been a big rift between mother and daughter.
I don't hate that, but I didn't need it because I think it lessens the conflict between Lydia and Astrid.
Agreed.
Because of that whole thing of not being able to see that person, and then to just have that happen anyway.
And they even say, "Oh, I know you can't see me, but like, why? Why can't she? Please tell me."
Right, but I'm there all the time. Well, are you? Because it kind of looks like you're working a day job. So, like, are you? And but makeup and how that character looks, that was cool.
Yeah,
like they all hug him, and I go, that's kind of awkward.
It's a little piranha.
But all the designs were so cool, though, and they did that in the original. Like when you die, however you die, that's how you're going to show up in the afterlife, and they do that here. And man, that's just where you go. Fuck, this is PG-13. This is allowed. Holy shit!
Thank you so much for the hydrate, Tyler. Cheers. Thank you.
Movie is very hardcore, which is great. I really thought this was going to be an overly polished, overly clean, watered down version.
Yeah.
It's not.
I'm happy it sticks to its core of like this grungy, like kind of like funny, crazy, quirky, but still dark place and film that it should be. Because if they didn't do that, it would have lost all of all the big factors that makes Beetlejuice what Beetlejuice is.
I agree. It's nice to know that they can still do stuff like that and are willing to take that leap. So, I mean, if you are somebody with small children, they can watch this movie, but you're going to have some explaining to do at certain points.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. All right. Any other?
Even with the language, too, man. Even with the language, that was kind of a little more free than I was expecting, Again, I thought it was going to be this watered-down thing.
One F-bomb every PG-13 film.
That's fair. And they use it well. And then I think not even a minute or so after that, there's an opportunity for him to do it again. And then he does. And I went, oh, yeah, because we used it already. That was cool.
Yeah.
It was cool. I wanted to mention about the book and the part that plays, because I did like that little swerve, because the character says, I found this at a yard sale. I was like, I totally buy that. And then when the twist is revealed, it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense too. Like, kudos to you. Kudos to you. So it makes sense in both cases.
So you didn't see it coming?
I totally bought that they got it at a yard sale. Because, like, all right, cool. And then we still could have gotten to the same place, because maybe dude wants to go to the afterlife too, like Lydia did in the first one. I totally could have seen that coming.
No taking care of fence. Can you ride a bike through?
What?
I don't know. There was just, like, the environment of the home and everything. Like, I had vibes immediately of the twist.
Fair. And it all made sense once it hit, and then it was cool to see the gags in the house and stuff like that, and how characters look.
It's just the notorious Morgan effect of, oh, I saw that coming.
Well, like, I guess if that's the case, then why didn't it get brought up sooner? Because you would think something traumatic like that, especially when Lydia comes back to town, it would be one of those things where,
It's also
oh my god,
surprising
like,
that she never heard of it before.
exactly. That's exactly what I was trying to get at. 100%. That was surprising.
Yeah.
Like, how do you not know? How do you not know? How's that not something you see ghosts? How's that not something that you just don't pick on instantly? You know?
Yeah, for sure.
So,
for sure.
Whatever. But it was cool. It's a storyline, like we said, that kind of doesn't go anywhere, but it was entertaining. Nice little twist. Cute moments.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fun time. That's the biggest thing I can say is, like, for anybody who wants to know, like, I still like the original better, but this did really good for a sequel. It wasn't a complete bomb like you think most sequels are. And
no, especially so much time later.
Yeah, no, I think they did a really good job of making it a really fun night out. I had a lot of good times. My dad and I would look over and smirk and chuckle and, like, quietly say back, like, "Oh, that was from the first one," or stuff like that. Like, it was cute.
It does kind of make you wonder, though, because something like this has been talked about for, years.
Yeah.
A Beetlejuice sequel has been talked about forever, and it's gone through various stages of fuck no to maybe to no to maybe to I guess so. So it's interesting to see this movie come out now, but then think about, well, what if you guys could have done this in the 90s or the early 2000s or the 10s, right? Like, what would that look like is something that comes to my mind when these legacy sequels come out. Because why did it take you this long to make a sequel in the first place? Because people have wanted this forever. Why is now the right time? You know what I mean? What about now just goes, yeah, Beetlejuice 2. Sure. Like, what is it? Did everybody just finally decide, all right, we'll get over it, like, we want a quick buck? Or I can't say definitively, but it is nice to see that while they are taking forever to make these films, for the most part, when they come out, they're pretty good. You know, there's legacy sequels that blow, but there's ones that are really fucking good. So yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's nice to see the attention to detail and not. I don't feel like this film, though I'm sure someone could make the argument for it. It didn't feel like it was just let's make this and grab the bang for a buck real quick.
Right. Yeah. But that's one of those things where I go, why is now the right time? Like, why does Jenna Ortega lend herself so well to something like this? Winona Ryder, Catherine O'Hara, Michael Keaton, that makes sense. But then you introduce these new characters. What makes them, I guess, more or less worthy to be a part of this franchise? Because I love this world. I do. If there's a sequel, I'm cool. Because when they go to the afterlife,
I want more lore on the afterlife and, like, how you get there. More stuff on the book. Like, there's so much lore that I want to have.
That's two movies now where I've been lacking on the Beetlejuice and the afterlife. I get more of it in this. I really do. But I think that's because the movie's longer. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it amounts to much, because it kind of doesn't. I'm happy to see Danny DeVito, but his character really doesn't amount to much by the time it's over.
Yeah, so real quick, the original Beetlejuice is 92 minutes, where this one is, what did I say, it was 100 and something.
Yeah.
Was 104.
Yeah.
So it's not that much longer if you think about it.
No.
It's only 12 minutes longer.
Well, then I stand by my statement of, like, it seems like there's more, but there's so
maybe it's the pacing.
Branched out.
Maybe it's the pacing of it, because in the original you had to, like, set up this cute.
Well, the first one is more
coming
streamlined
and moving in, and I don't know. I feel like there's maybe more plot points, and not more plot points, but more, like, things that, like, they had to set up more. Where, like, the original couple's actually dead, and she's seeing their ghosts, and kind of just playing more into that sort of stuff. Maybe that's why it feels so much like less happened, or why less happened is because there is a lot of build up.
Chalk that up to the pacing and the fact that the first one is way more streamlined. It's very much about the Maitlands.
Yeah.
It's their movie. The Dietzes come in, but they're in the Maitlands world. Beetlejuice comes in, but it's in the Maitlands world. Everything is told through the Maitlands' point of view.
Correct.
From beginning to end. This one, it's told from Beetlejuice's, Lydia's, Astrid's, and Delia's point of views. And they all have their moments to shine, and they all have their conclusions to their stories, kind of. And there's just so much more going on in this one as opposed to the first one. I think that's why it suffers. Doesn't mean the movie's bad. The movie's still quite good. And it's a really entertaining world to visit. So, yeah, I agree with you. I think I agree with you. I need to watch the original again. I haven't watched it in a minute.
I haven't watched it in years.
I'm pretty sure I'm going to agree with you that I'm going to enjoy the first one more.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't say it's like a much.
No,
because there is a lot of stuff that I have fun with in this movie. There's a lot to have fun with. But if it's the story, probably not.
That's fair. So,
yeah.
Question is, what would you rate it?
I'm gonna give this a 7. This is a solid 7. So I would imagine after watching the original, it's probably gonna be around an 8 or a 9. But this is absolutely 7. I love having these characters come back. They play them very well. The legacy characters play them very well. Jenna Ortega's character is hit or miss for me, depending on the scene. The Rory character I can definitely do without. I do like all the throwbacks to the original. I love the way this movie is shot. I love all the sets. I love all the makeup. My goodness. The practical effects, the claymation sequence, the material and the violence and the language that I wasn't expecting. No, this is a movie that feels like it was made for those of us that are a little older, which is nice.
Yeah.
Which is very nice.
Which, first things first, everything you said, my rating, how I feel, we're very much
7?
very much on the same point. I'm also a 7 out of 7 for basically all the exact same reasons. Sorry, 7 out of 10. Wow. But the one thing I wanted to just mention before we wrap up today is the fact that what you just said is it feels like it is made for the adults, because that is something we gripe about a lot, is we get films that came out when we were kids and they're still supposed to be more like younger oriented, and so they dumb them down or bring them back to what it would have been like for us as kids to help bring that younger generation in, where I think Beetlejuice plays a nice line of making it for us the adults but then also the young adults. Like, I think there is enjoyability for those like who are in like middle school, high school, whatever, like, but I think it's really enjoyable for those who are like our age and older, who grew up with this film, or like grew up with our parents showing us this film, like how mine did. And I love that, because that is something I don't get to say, is like, man, they made sure that this met their target audience. Because most of the times when we're getting a reboot of a franchise this old, they're trying to bring in the younger generation.
Yep, 100%. It was very nice to see them not do that and go pretty balls to the wall considering PG-13. Like, we're not kidding. They very much, wherever the line is between PG-13 and R, they're right there. And it works, and it's great to see. And like, yeah, again, take your young children to see it, but there's a chance. Or you're gonna make you little weirdos like us. Either way, it's a win. Yeah, Morgan, you got anything else?
No, that covers it for me.
Same.
Perfect. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us. We are the Wannabes Podcast. I'm Morgan, and that's Luke, and this is our movie review of Beetlejuice. Whew. All right. Well,
we did work.
That's going to be it for our show tonight, guys. Reminder, if you are here on Twitch on Tuesdays, you can catch this live. If you didn't get to stay around for all of it, you missed the beginning, whatever it may be, you can see it Tuesday live on our YouTube. Just search up Wannabes Podcast. And
not live, but
no, I'm used to saying live because of Twitch. Sorry. You will see it published on YouTube. If you are listening over on Spotify, because hey guys, we got Spotify now. You can listen to us on the go. And
yeah, there's no fucking excuses anymore. And there are people that I'm talking to specifically because I understand that coming to watch us on Twitch is a bit of a hassle. Got to create an account, yada yada. But we're on Spotify now, bitches.
So, if you're happening to be listening to this on Tuesday, right now, wherever you are, your car, your bed, couch, who cares, cleaning the house, you can catch us live on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Twitch, doing our reviews live, where you can interact with us and chat. But for now, everybody, we're going to end it here. Just make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. That way you know when we're going live, what we're reviewing. That way you can stay up to movies with us and come in and talk to us in chat about your thoughts of the movie as well, because we love that interaction. And yeah, don't forget to follow us on also Spotify and YouTube officially. We're super excited to be moving and bringing our content out to you on additional platforms for your enjoyment. But
You can't escape us.
not at all. We're here forever. But yeah, for now, everybody, have a wonderful night. Thank you so much for joining us. And next time,
Don't forget the popcorn.
don't forget the popcorn.
Don't forget the popcorn.
Yeah.
Fuck.